It's time. As you can see, I'm not in the kitchen today. I was trying to go for more of like a chill, like slumber party excitement vibe today. Please don't judge anything that you see up here on my pin collection. I will not apologize for any of my interests, but don't read too much into anything that you see behind me. A lot of this has been up there for a while, but I stand by that. Anyway, yeah, just chilling today. Just wanted to kind of like veg out, not like set up in the kitchen, which is usually cold. I'm far too excited to even like move right now from sitting in here in my room because I have finished my anticipation list for Halloween Horror Nights 30. After a whole year of not having horror in my life, or horror nights in my life, I should say, I cannot wait to get back down there. All of the houses and everything has been announced. I've been waiting very patiently. Of course, I've been following the speculation lists and speculation maps, all of that good stuff as well. So a lot of this wasn't a huge shock, but to finally see it officially out there in the world makes me just so incredibly happy. Now, I will not be there on opening weekend. I haven't actually been on opening weekend in a few years, but I will be going a couple of times. I know I said I might be only doing one weekend, but I was able to squeeze an extra horror night stay in there as well. I'm going to Hallow Scream this year too, so it should be a really awesome season. I'll be doing something just as fun or just as interesting on opening weekend as well. So I will be there in spirit. I can't wait to see all of the goodness that emerges that evening, but I'll be traveling elsewhere and we'll be there a little bit later in September. Without any further ado, though, I do want to get into this speculation list here. But right off the bat, I'm going to say this is one of the hardest years that I've ever had to rank which ones I'm most excited for from most to least, because there's not a single house on the lineup this year that I'm not excited for in some way. So just because things are at the bottom, that does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that I'm not excited for these houses. This was nearly impossible. The way I see it is just look at it as the one I'm most ridiculously excited to see to the one that I'm like still ridiculously excited to see. It just happens to be at the bottom of the list. So I'm going to go backwards from 10 to 1. So I'm going to go from least excited to most excited. But again, I don't really even want to use that word least here, but what can you do? Right, at number 10, Beetlejuice. Love the movie. I need to rewatch it again just to really prepare myself to go into this house again. What a great film, like one of the most classic like Halloween movies of all time, one of my favorite Tim Burton movies of all time as well. I did see a little of what the house looked like when they did it briefly last year at the sort of condensed horror nights, not even really horror nights, just the special horror experience with a few of the houses from last year. Looks fantastic, looks like it's going to be one of the ones that's super fun to walk through, recognizable characters, recognizable sets. Really excited to see if there's any changes from the video I did see of the walkthrough from this last year. Probably will be, but yeah, really looking forward to this one. I know this is probably going to be like a really big fan favorite because a lot of people do have a lot of love for that movie, myself included. Number 9, Case Files Unearthed. Can I just say for a second that the amount of originals we have on this lineup is absolutely blowing my mind, making me so excited. I love these original houses, and this is one of the most original heavy years that we've had in quite some time. So I'm really excited to see that. I don't have anything negative about this house. It's just the original I happen to put at the bottom. I think it could be a really interesting concept, especially since it's supposed to be set in New York. I know we had the wonderful Ghostbusters house set in New York as well. Can't wait to get back to one of my favorite cities in the world, even if it's only in haunted house form. But I love this idea of like a detective. Maybe there'll be a little noir element to it. Not super sure what to expect with this one, but that's kind of exciting, like not really knowing exactly what to make of it until I get to walk into that house the first night that I get to go down there. So really curious. And before I get too high up on the list here, can we just take a moment to pause and realize that a lot of the ones I usually put at the bottom of my anticipation list end up at the top. So who knows, one of the two I've just mentioned might end up shocking me and being my favorite of all. Number 8, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. One of the biggest surprises the year it was present at the event prior to this one. Was never a super fan of the movie, wasn't really my style of horror movies, didn't have a really strong connection to it, but my goodness, was this one of the best houses from that year. Even my mom, who has never seen the movie and doesn't even care to, left that version of Texas Chainsaw wanting to watch the movie. We loved it. And again, I have to sing the praises of the creative team, because you'd think that sometimes the tent houses might not be as impressive as the ones in the sound stages, but this really shocked the living daylights out of me how great this was. It really did feel like walking through a creepy house. You lose that sort of knowledge in the back of your mind of I'm in a tent, I'm at Halloween Horror Nights. No, this felt real to me. And it really did feel like we were going through a real house that people were residing in. That was so crazy. And I remember, didn't we see some of the rooms more than once? Like you came back around to the same room from the house again. That was really, really neat. Some of the best scares, really impressive scenic design. It smelled like just rotting flesh and garbage in there. The things they could do with scents in these houses are amazing and disgusting. So if they're bringing back this exact same house layout, replica, and everything from before, I'm okay with that. We've had repeat houses. We've had American Werewolf 2 times. I don't have a problem personally with Texas Chainsaw coming back. It is lower on my list because, you know, I feel like I have seen this one before, but what I did see before was so incredible that I'm very, very excited to see it again. Number 7, Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. Lots and lots and lots of good reviews that I saw for the house that was, as it was presented last year, unfortunately during COVID, in the Horror Nights Light. I was a huge fan of Halloween Horror Nights 29's Universal Monsters. That was just, oh my god, like some of my favorite memories walking through that house, getting to see the classic monsters in such an exciting way was really awesome. And we did get a little taste of the bride in that house, but it's really, really awesome that she's getting her own chance to shine this year. She deserves it. More power to her. Again, I heard nothing but good things about this one, and I categorize this one as an original because Universal, like, started the whole monster movie genre. Like they tell you at the horror makeup show, like that these horror movies save the studio. So I kind of count this one more as an original than an IP. Really excited to see everything inside of it. I don't think I even watched a full walkthrough of this one from when it was at Horror Nights Light, because I wanted to keep it a surprise. I was really hoping they would bring this one back again this year in all of its glory, all of her glory, I should say. And I'm really excited that that is in fact what they did. Number 6, Puppet Theater Captive Audience. One of the ones they announced super early, I think like right after Horror Nights Light ended. They were like, hey, we're doing Puppet Theater next year. So that's really, really neat. I have been waiting for this one kind of with bated breath, because it seems to me like it might be a little bit similar to 24's Dollhouse of the Damned, which is one of the creepiest houses I've ever been in. I think I put that on my list of like ones that I thought were the most scary or the most creepy of all time, because there is something very unsettling about dolls in any form, whether it be like baby dolls or puppets. This one has the potential to have some really good creepy scares. That creep factor is probably going to be really, really high in this one. And I'm excited for that. I'm sure the moment I walk into this house, I'm going to be on edge, like, don't touch me, don't come after me. But in a way, that's fun. Like, you want to be scared, right? I'm kind of predicting that this might be one of the scarier ones for me this year. But I could be completely wrong. I'm also expecting some really neat scenic design and character makeup and costuming this year. I think this one really lends itself to some really wild creativity. And with these original houses, you always see, like, really interesting and really neat character and scenic design. And honestly, I expect nothing less from this one. I just have a gut feeling that this one's going to knock it out of the park. Number 5, Revenge of the Tooth Fairies. So, full disclosure here, seeing the facade and watching a bit of a walkthrough for this one that they did at the Little Horror Nights Light last year made me inconsolably sad that I couldn't get down there. It just wasn't in the cards for me to go and see the houses that they opened. I was devastated that I couldn't go. And this was the house that made me the most devastated of all. That facade, if it's the same facade, I might like pass away before I even walk into the haunted house, because it looked beautiful. It looked amazing. The music going into it, I can't express to you like the jealousy I felt. It was so bad, and I was so sad about not getting to see this one, that I actually had like a recurring dream that I was in line to go see it, and I would wake up before I would even get to walk in. Like, I was really like tragically hurt and upset that I didn't get to go in this haunted house. So if that tells you anything about how passionate I am about this event, like, I was really, really excited when it was revealed that we were getting the same houses that we saw. Probably a little different, you know. Don't think there's gonna be the plexiglass in there last time I checked. So I know that everybody said those fairies they meant business, they were coming for you. So I am ready. Come at your girl, come snatch my teeth, whatever you need to do. Number 4, Halloween Horror Nights icons captured. I love the icons. Anytime they're at the event, I am here for it. I have a deep personal connection to our lovely usher, Julian. The first year I ever went to Horror Nights, he was our icon. I love him most of all. I am biased. He is my favorite. But any of them that I've seen, I love. And the fact that they're all going to be in one house, that makes it even better. I know some people say they're tired of Jack the Clown. No, Jack the Clown is Halloween Horror Nights. Like, he is Horror Nights. So anytime I see him, I feel like, yes, this is what it's all about. And of course, we saw him in 25 at the anniversary year. I'm thrilled. I love the icons. I can't wait for all of them to have their moment to shine in this house. Quite frankly, they deserve it, because I feel like we've kind of fallen away from the whole idea of icons over the last few years. And I know that's a whole controversy about how there's less original content, less icons, more big IPs drawing people in. So the fact that we're getting a whole house, like, this feels like it is for the fans, like the ones that have been here since it was just all original content, or overwhelmingly original content, like the deep fans that have been in there from like the Dungeons of Terror days. I wasn't around back then. I've been here since 2009, but still, like, I get it. Like, I appreciate that they're still willing to put out this original content for the people that like really love it and have that affinity for that in their hearts. Number 3, The Haunting of Hill House. I was kind of expecting this to be my number 1 anticipated, but I had to talk to myself. I had to have a little conversation. You know that when you get your hopes up for your number 1 house, it's usually not your number 1 house. I have talked about my love for Hill House before. In fact, I made an entire video on the top houses I would love to see at Halloween Horror Nights. This was on there. I will never forget sitting on my bed when I finished that show in the dark, crying my eyes out, thinking, if I don't get this at Horror Nights, then what has this all been for? Because yes, it is a beautiful show with a beautiful message. I thought it was going to be some silly thing that wasn't even scary at all, but it was gorgeous, and there were scares there. Like, this seemed like a no-brainer to me. I wouldn't stop talking about how badly I wanted this at Horror Nights, and the fact that we're getting it makes me so excited. However, I do have to say, just the other day, my mom, who is going with me on my first trip down this year, she straight up said she might sit this one out because she is so afraid of the guy looking for his hat. It's like, Mom, don't you want to go in it? You know it's going to be beautiful inside of there. You don't want to see that? She's like, I'm just going to sit outside. You're going to have to tell me about it. I'm going to make her go in there just so she could see it. But even if I'm not terrified and scared, this seems like it's going to be like it was for me when I went into Shining. It's going to be so emotionally overwhelming that I'm gonna love it, I think, no matter what. Like, I may cry when I walk in there. If I don't leave the Haunting of Hill House haunted house like in a mess of tears, then I'll be sad. But I think I will. I think this is gonna be like The Shining, where I'm just so excited to be there that I'm just like a sobbing mess. Number 2, Wicked Growth, the Realm of the Pumpkin. One of the greatest things of Horror Nights, one of the best things that I look forward to every year that happens a lot, is those pumpkins in those trees. You know where I'm talking about, in that scare zone, the Central Park area of the park. Oh my goodness. What's more Halloween than a pumpkin? And the year that they had I just remember the dummy of the girl like laying half like rot in a half rotted pumpkin. It's like me when I wake up in October. That's that to me is horror and Halloween. So the fact that we're getting this like ooky spooky pumpkin moment, I'm excited to see it. This one to me takes me to a place of like Scarecrow the Reaping, like that style of like horror imagery, pumpkin imagery. I'm anticipating this one being scary, but also just like beautiful to look at and like capturing that real spirit of Halloween. I feel like I'm not being very articulate about this one. I can't really get my thoughts out here about this one. Just something inside is like pulling me towards this one in some way. Just like, this is what Halloween is. This is the iconic imagery that drew you to this holiday in the first place. And I bet there might be some sense in this one. I don't know. I could be totally wrong about all of this, but I feel like this one might smell like pumpkin-y or maybe rotting. I don't know. But I'm excited. I was really surprised that I ended up like feeling this one was so high up on my list, but hey, what can you do? And number 1, welcome to Scary Horror in the Heartland. So, all of us Halloween Horror Nights fans that love the original content, we know about Cary, Ohio. We know how many houses have been set there. And the fact that we're getting this kind of greatest hits of what Cary has to offer thrills me to no end. I heard that there could be, or I read that we might be seeing that vampire nest from Hive again, and as scary as that house was, that is what sold me on this. This is what I want. I want these original houses that take us down memory lane, that bring back all of those memories that I've had over the year. Oh my god, Meets is gonna be in there. Leave It to Cleaver. That was from the first year I ever went. This is like a dream come true. A whole house dedicated to the best of Cary. I can't believe it. I feel like this is going to be the one I'm going to want to go through the most times. This is like, to me, feels like one of the ultimate original houses. And I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being one of my favorite originals of all time. I like, as soon as I saw this one, like, oh my god, it's really happening, because I saw the pictures that people were taking from the Men in Black tent, like, look what they're building back there. But you know, you kind of don't want to believe something because you know, what if it's too good to be true, you know? But fortunately, that wasn't the case here. It wasn't too good to be true, and all of my spooky Cary dreams are coming true. So there you have it. There is my anticipation list for Halloween Horror Nights 30. I am growing more anxious, excited by the day. It has been far too long since I have gotten to go back to my happy place, like the place I feel most at home, the place that means the most to me, really. Like, this is more than just an event. This is something that has become such a big part of my life. And you know, there'll always be people that don't get it and don't understand that, and that's okay. Maybe it's not for everyone to get, but I'm sure some of you out there know, like, you know what this means, you know how exciting this is. And to have it be an anniversary year as the first time back, and to have all of these wonderful original ideas coming forward, this feels like truly a new era of Halloween Horror Nights is beginning. And I, for one, can't wait to see it. Not too much longer now.